Childhood sweetheart plus entertainment industry plus wealthy tycoons plus post-apocalyptic queen, Manyin, the queen of the end of the world, fell asleep and her soul pierced into the beautiful world before the end of the world. However, now she is a malicious and unscrupulous 18-line scumbag with a black network. It's okay to mess with coffee, we have plenty of money. Throw money into variety shows. It doesn't matter if the whole network is hacked. We have plenty of money, and we can solve those rumors every minute. It's okay if we have nothing to do. We have plenty of money, so let's spend it and start the show. But, on a certain day, my childhood sweetheart's fiancé looked at her with a gentle smile and said, "When will you spend money on our wedding?" Manyin. Novel keyword. She. Throw money into variety shows, don't provoke, it will bring disaster without pop-ups, she. Spend money on variety shows, don't provoke, it will bring trouble. Download the complete set of TXT, she. Spending money on variety shows, don't provoke, it will bring trouble. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. My favorite thing is to face up directly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. My favorite thing is to face up directly, boss. This time the product is not just a celebrity, but also so charming in appearance. Just looking at it makes me feel restless. Stinky kid, don't cause any trouble. This is a top-tier item, and there's a rush over there. If this prey can't be delivered, let's not even talk about money, we can't even save our lives. Manyin heard the conversation between two men in a daze. With a shudder, he opened his icy eyes and reflexively punched the man on the right hand. But when she was greeted, her body softened and she almost fell to the ground. She immediately stabilized her figure and retreated to a relatively safe distance, her eyes fiercely scanning around. Didn't she die with the zombie king? This is a very ordinary room of about 20 square meters, slightly shaky, as if on the sea. Oh, I'm awake. The old man laughed wildly, that's why prey needs to be so energetic to satisfy customers. Manyin endured the piercing pain in her head and quickly sorted out countless unfamiliar memories that popped up in her mind. At this moment, she already understood that her soul was piercing through. She has transformed from the soul of the queen of the last world to a female celebrity with no acting skills and a pretentious demeanor in the 2023 online blacklist. Today, I attended a banquet with my so-called best friend Zhang Rourou. However, after drinking 2 sips of wine, I became unconscious. When her soul pierced through, it turned into what it is now. Just heard the conversation between these two people, it is obvious that someone has sold her to them. So, who sold her? Zhang Rourou. Or someone else? During this period, she used water-based abilities to constantly clean the drugs in her blood, gradually gaining strength and spirit. Manyin looked at the two men with fierce eyes. With a little bit of her right index finger, a water droplet floated on her index finger and said, "Who is the seller?" The two men were shocked to see this scene and lost control of their expressions. What happened to this woman? Isn't it easy to deal with her unarmed strength? Moreover, she has taken traditional Chinese medicine and should be completely powerless. Why is she looking like this? Before they could say anything, their muscles suddenly began to spasm, accompanied by the pain of their skin cracking and drying, causing the two of them to scream out in agony. Ah! Bitch, what have you done to us? Manyin played with the water droplets and said with a smile on her face, "Do you want to taste the taste of gradually dehydrating and turning into a dried corpse?" The two men felt greater pain in their muscles and skin, and shook their heads in pain into a tambourine. No, no, no. About 2 minutes later, Manyin walked out of the cabin, playing with her original phone. These two families don't know who the seller is, they only know that each other is a girl with a pleasant voice. So, can this girl be a top-tier celebrity, Zhang Rourou? Or is there someone else? No matter who it is, she will investigate and seek revenge for her original identity. The two people behind her were lying on the ground with white foam in their eyes. Lu Manyin stood on the deck, gazing at the distant sea, spreading her arms and taking deep breaths. In the afterlife she lived in, water resources were extremely precious and rare, with no sea, lake, or river at all. Even a dirty pond the size of a palm would make countless people snatch it up. Dingling, the phone rings. It was her original agent, Zhu Jie, whose tone was very unpleasant, as if scolding a slave. Lu Manyin, where did you die as a slut? I finally managed to get you a variety show, but you. Shut up. Lu Manyin's eyes cooled down and she scolded. Zhu Jie was stunned for a moment, surprised that Lu Manyin, who had always been obedient, dared to speak to her like this. Are you crazy? I tell you, if it weren't for Miss Zhang and Mr. Zhu, you would think. Lu Manyin hung up the phone directly and blocked all the contact information of Zhu Jie, Zhang Rourou, and Zhu Guanghua, then logged in to Weibo and logged out, and changed her password. Doing all of this well, she clicked on the number in the family section of her phone's address book and thought about whether to call her original family member. In the beginning, my original self and family had a falling out and insisted on entering the entertainment industry, partly because of Zhang Rourou's encouragement and partly because of my idol Zhu Guanghua. Zhu Guanghua came from playing a campus idol drama, and the male protagonist he played made his original body very obsessed, quickly becoming his iron fan. Just as she was about to make a phone call, a surprised middle-aged man's voice came from behind. Beautiful woman, right. I'm calling out to you. I have a character that suits you very well here, would you like to give it a try? Lu Manyin turned her head and saw a thin, short middle-aged man with a goatee running over at the speed of a running champion, instinctively making a defensive posture. Who are you? She noticed a chubby middle-aged Mediterranean man running over. The more goat who looked at Lu Manyin, the more satisfied he became, and he even thought she was a bit familiar. Beauty, you're interested in participating in the variety show, that TA in your mind. Unlucky, how could it be Lu Manyin? I thought I found a good character. He pursed his lips and turned around to leave. Lu Manyin, who doesn't care, has become interested in filming variety shows. It's a very interesting thing. In her past life, in order to survive and eliminate zombies, she faced endless training and fighting, with little personal time and entertainment. In this life, she wants to live effortlessly and freely. She glanced at the director who had left and got off the ship with a smile. Once Zhu Jie and others were resolved, she would use the most sincere knocking brick to find the director. As she stood by the roadside waiting for the car, she made a phone call and said, Uncle Wang, I have something I want to ask you to do. Please don't worry and tell my family for now. About an hour later, at the entrance of Hongmei Entertainment Company, Lu Manyin met Uncle Wang. Wang Yingwei, a middle-aged man wearing black-framed glasses and dressed as an elite with a smile. He looked very kind, but in fact, he had a pair of sharp eyes. Don't worry, Manyin. Uncle will help you solve this case, and there won't be any less points to get back for you. Wang Yingwei sneered, and a group of idiots didn't even look at who was being bullied. Lu Manyin thanked and smiled lightly at Yen, saying, if Uncle Wang comes forward, I won't worry. Wang Yingwei glanced at her and sighed, once this matter is resolved, talk to your family about it. They have been very worried about you for the past 2 years. Lu Manyin didn't care if Wang Yingwei saw if she was the same person, so she couldn't pretend to be the same foolish person as her original self. Let me make a difference, she said. Back then, I threatened to make a difference. If I hadn't made any difference and went back, my family would have loved me even more. Wang Yingwei patted her shoulder and didn't say anything more before joining Hongmei Entertainment Company with Lu Manyin. As soon as the two entered the company, many employees pointed at Lu Manyin, and many employees took photos, recorded videos, and live-streamed with their phones. Damn it, it's Lu Manyin, this despicable woman. Who else has she been flirting with? This slut seduces men all day, causing trouble for my gentle family. She quickly got out of the entertainment industry for me. Is Lu Manyin still alive? This bitch is going to die for me. Last time she caused Rourou to fall into the water, Rourou forgave her, and I will never forgive her. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Eating mine and spitting it out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Eating mine and spitting it out. Lu Manyin paid no attention to these things. She invited Wang Yingwei to sit in the rest area, waiting for each one to come on stage. Talking in the office was so boring. Wang Yingwei probably guessed her intention and whispered to her, reminding her how to say it later. The two waited for less than 3 minutes before Zhang, Rourou and Zhu Jia walked over one by one. Manyin, where did you go last night? Ah. Before Zhang Rourou could finish speaking, she was knocked to the ground by a slap from Lu Manyin. This scene fell in the eyes of the audience in the live broadcast room, causing another wave of verbal abuse against Lu Manyin. Ah. Lu Manyin, this scumbag, dares to beat Rourou. I want to kill her. Pure passers-by, Lu Manyin is indeed as vicious as rumored. It is said that Zhang Rourou is kind to her with all her heart and lungs, but she publicly beats Zhang Rourou. Judging from Lu Manyin's familiar appearance, it is clear that she bullies Zhang Rourou a lot in her daily life. Zhang Rourou is also too pitiful. Lu Manyin ignored the shocked expressions of Zhang Rourou and the people around her, and snatched the jade bracelet from Zhang Rourou's hand and put it on her wrist. You borrowed my jade bracelet for so long, it's time to return it to me. After Zhang Rourou became friends with her original self, she was foolishly kind and even encouraged her to sever ties with her family and enter the entertainment industry. Afterwards, the original designer signed a harsh and unreasonable contract, and slowly cheated the original designer out of a lot of money and jewelry. This jade bracelet is one of them. Zhang Rourou was about to cry, weak and helpless. Manyin, you like this bracelet? I'll give it to you. Her appearance made the employees very angry. Lu Manyin, you despicable person. You should grab a soft jade bracelet in public and call the police to arrest her. The live broadcast room was filled with various insults against Lu Manyin, and some netizens swore to kill her. Lu Manyin played with the jade bracelet and said, Uncle Wang, have you recorded what Zhang Rourou said and what these people scolded me? Wang Yingwei said that it was recorded. He stood up and organized his suit, took out 2 business cards and handed them to Zhang Rourou and Zhu Jia, saying, I am Wang Yingwei, the lawyer for Miss Lu Manyin. I will handle all matters related to Miss Lu. Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by the angry Zhu sister, shut up. What the hell are you? It's best to figure out whose territory this is. Zhu Jia, let's have something to say. Zhang Rourou took on the role of a mediator, looking as if she was always considerate of Lu Manyin. Manyin, please apologize to Zhu Jia quickly, and I will help you plead with the company. Lu Manyin ignored her and asked Wang Yingwei, Uncle Wang, my jade bracelet is worth over 30 million yuan, not including anything else. How many years can you judge Zhang Rourou? Wang Yingwei pushed his eyes on the bridge of his nose and said slowly, starting from 20 years. However, I can get Zhang Rourou sentenced to life imprisonment. Zhang Rourou's excitement made her feel even more pitiful. Before she could finish speaking, Lu Manyin interrupted her and said, Zhang Rourou, how many things did you steal from me? You are required to return them all within 24 hours. I have records and evidence of this. Turning her head, she glared coldly at Zhu and said, Zhu, I'll give you half a day to terminate my contract with the company, compensate me for the losses I deserve, and publish the corresponding statement on the company's official website. Otherwise, you'll be responsible for the consequences. Zhu Jia's face was as ugly as swallowing a fly. She had already recognized this elite man as the famous lawyer Wang Yingwei in the legal world, and there were rumors that he could not win any cases. She pulled out a fake smile and said, "Man, why don't we sit down and discuss this matter slowly?" Lu Manyin couldn't help but know that she was procrastinating and sneered, "Uncle Wang, let's go. Next, I'm going to trouble Uncle Wang. I hope to resolve this matter as soon as possible." Wang Yingwei said he would solve this matter in the shortest possible time. He smiled and said, "If your family finds out about the crime you've suffered, not to mention that Zhang Rourou will be banned, even this entertainment company will be finished." These words frightened Zhu Jie's face greatly. Lu Manyin's family background is very strong. If that's the case, it means that Zhang Rourou has been hiding this matter and using the company to deal with Lu Manyin. With this in mind, she forcefully pulled Zhang Rourou towards her office and had to quickly understand Lu Manyin's background before making any plans for the next step. Upon seeing this scene, Lu Manyin's lips curved slightly. With Zhang Rourou's personality, she would never easily reveal her family background, which gave her a chance. After leaving Hongmei Entertainment Company, when she saw Wang Yingwei on the car, she heard him say something like this, and she suddenly felt very upset. "By the way, man, your fiancé has returned to China and is said to be marrying you." It took Lu Manyin a minute to retrieve relevant information about her fiancé from her original memory, and she felt even worse. Isn't he quite disgusted with me? Why did he suddenly marry me? The original marriage was considered a family alliance, and the two had never seen her 5 times in total, and each time they saw her, they would always have a cold face. Wang Yingwei was taken aback for a moment and said, "How could you think that? That person has such a temperament. As for why he suddenly wanted to marry you, I'm not sure. When he invites you to meet, just ask him," he said as he drove away. After thinking for a while, Lu Manyin couldn't figure out this matter, so she temporarily forgot about it and went to a suitcase seller. She bought the largest suitcase and then went to the bank to withdraw 10 million cash. After withdrawing the money, she took a taxi and arrived at the recording site of the variety show In Your Mind, which was on that cruise ship. When she arrived at the scene, the variety show was about to start filming, so everyone looked at her in unison. The girl was wearing a light blue bubble wrap on top and a pair of jeans underneath. Her unadorned face became even more charming and alluring against the backdrop of sunlight and the sea, like a sea monster walking out of the deep sea, with every frown and smile captivating her soul. However, many people recognized Lu Manyin either by disdain or disdain. What is Lu Manyin, this pretentious woman, doing? She shouldn't be. She wants to forcibly join our variety show, right? But don't do it. If she joins, our variety show will really be finished. The director was extremely impatient and spoke aggressively, "Drive away. Hurry up and drive away Lu Manyin, don't delay the variety show shooting." A few staff members walked up to Lu Manyin and rudely waved their hands, saying, hurry up, we don't welcome you here." Lu Manyin was not angry either. She took out a large stack of tickets from the suitcase behind her and patted the palm of her left hand, saying, "Director, can we talk?" The opening of the suitcase revealed all the red tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. I like to smash people with money. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. I like to smash people with money. When the director saw this scene, his face became full of laughter. He rubbed his hands and came forward. "Miss Lu, I'm really sorry just now. I'm blind. You see, why don't we go to the room and talk slowly?" His variety show is facing a situation of having, and the biggest reason is the lack of funds. Lu Manyin nodded and gestured for the director to lead the way, then followed behind with her suitcase. The two of them arrived in one of the rooms in the variety show group, one in front of the other. The director's sycophantic rush was followed by pouring water to prepare fruit snacks and turning on the TV to switch to a relaxed entertainment channel. "I don't know, how much money is Miss Lu planning to invest?" He rubbed his hands and smiled, constantly glancing at the suitcase. How much does it have to be full of cash for such a large suitcase? Lu Manyin picked up an apple and nibbled on it. It tastes different from apples from the end of the world. It needs to be bigger, sweeter, and more delicious. The director looked at it himself. She took another pear to eat, which was also good and delicious. The director had been waiting for this sentence for a long time. He walked quickly to the suitcase and shook his hands to open the zipper, open the lid with one hand. Wow! A large pile of tickets fell to the ground, and the red tickets brought a great visual impact, making the director's breath heavier and his eyes full of the appearance of the tickets. Investment mom, he stood in front of Lu Manyin with a bent waist. May I ask, how much money do you have in total here? Visually, there are at least 2 to 3 million here. Lu Manyin extended a finger and said, 10 million. 10 million. 3 words hit the director hard on the forehead, making him dizzy and ecstatic. Investment mother, welcome to join this variety show, I will follow your instructions throughout the process. Upon hearing this, Lu Manyin made 2 requests. Firstly, the program should be changed to a script kill, and you should find someone to design interesting scripts. Secondly, don't spread rumors about my investment everywhere. The director promised to complete this matter within an hour. Miss Lu, please sit here and rest. Once the matter is completed, I will come to see you. Lu Manyin nodded and the director dragged his suitcase away. In less than an hour, the new variety show. Fun You. Not long after the variety show started broadcasting, a large number of Zhang Rourou's fans flooded into the live broadcast room, insulting Lu Manyin and boycotting the show, scaring away many viewers who wanted to watch the show. Lu Manyin, this malicious woman, snatched the soft jade bracelet and claimed it was hers. Get out of the entertainment industry, get out. As long as Lu Manyin is on this variety show, I will boycott it. I want her to never receive the show unless she kneels and apologizes to Rourou. Lu Manyin, who doesn't know these things, is listening to the director. The days without zombies are really beautiful. The director clapped his hands with a smile on his face and said, now, let me announce the game rules. First of all, the reward is good. The first place will reward a TV worth 20,000 yuan, the second place will reward a refrigerator worth 10,000 yuan, and the third place will reward a mobile phone worth 5,000 yuan. As soon as this reward was given, one of the few viewers in the live broadcast room laughed uncontrollably. Just looking at the reward, you know that the director and the production team are very poor, and only this little reward is enough. Lu Manyin. Now she realizes that the director is a very stingy person, and she has invested 10 million yuan. The director doesn't care about these things, he just wants to save as much as possible and make the show last a bit longer. Our show only has one game rule. Whoever first investigates the case or finds the spy will win. Whether you cooperate or engage in individual combat, you must complete the task before 6 p.m. in the evening. It won't be completed. The deputy director took out a large glass of pure green drink and laughed strangely, this is a special drink. The loser needs to drink it. The taste of this drink is safe to drink, and you still want to drink it. Lu Manyin looked at the drink with a normal expression, a little wanting to taste it. In the apocalypse, anything we eat or drink, whether expired or rotten, will be contested by countless people, not to mention such a large glass of water. The other guests changed their faces and waved their hands repeatedly, refusing, no, no, we don't need such punishment. Just leave it to yourself, director. The few joyful comments on the barrage were all pushed aside by Zhang Rourou's fans, which caused the barrage to be chaotic and even reached the tail of hot searches. Explosive. Lu Manyin, this vicious woman, is acting like a demon again. The netizens who clicked in to see it all cursed Lu Manyin. Is there anyone else in charge of Lu Manyin? Today she dares to snatch Zhang Rourou's jade bracelet in public, and tomorrow she dares to kill and set fire. She must be severely punished. Damn it. What is this peerless garbage? Why can garbage like Lu Manyin still stay in the entertainment industry? Quickly block her and put her in jail. This disclosure also made many viewers, out of curiosity and anger, click on teasing you to play variety shows, hoping to see how Lu Manyin will become a demon again. And the variety show has already begun. But more than 10 big men in suits and sunglasses stood up, Chi Shuasha. The guests and the audience are all confused. What is this about? The director raised his right hand and laughed shamelessly. This is the one responsible for chasing the guests. If caught, there will be various punishments. Chase. He waved his hand and more than 10 big men immediately rushed towards the guests of Lu Manyin. Lu Manyin's reaction speed was the fastest. At the moment when Han started, she had already rushed into the nearest cockpit, and the fast camera brother almost missed her. She had just run into the cabin when she heard screams. Ah! Don't throw me into the sea. Damn it. Director, you're not very good at martial arts. How could you cause trouble without saying it in advance? This is too much. Lu Manyin, who was searching for clues in the cockpit, glanced at the situation on the deck. It was a chaotic mess, with several guests running around and 7 or 8 big men chasing around. Some big men fished the guests into the sea, while the others chased after them. Before a few big men arrived, she quickly searched and then grabbed the sandwich on the small table and slipped out. Lu Manyin glanced at the several big men who were catching up, accelerated her speed, and took a bite of the sandwich, then, what's that? She looked down at the sandwich in her hand and found a note inside. Open the note and it says. This is a fake clue. The audience with few live broadcast rooms are delighted. Oh, I just love to see the guests look like this. Is it the talented director? If this variety show continues like this, I'll keep following. Ha ha ha, hello director, I love you so much. All the guests, did Lu Manyin run away alone? Her speed is also a bit too fast. And Lu Manyin stuffed the remaining sandwiches into her mouth and ran to the position indicated on the entire ship's diagram. After taking note of the map, she glanced at several chasing big men, who needed to be shaken off in order to find clues more conveniently. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Unmarried husband wants to get married. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Unmarried husband wants to get married. She quickly turned to the side, left and right, and ran quickly, successfully shaking off several big men and arriving at the restaurant. Due to her post-apocalyptic habits, she first packed all the food. In total, it was only a small bag, all fast food and the like. Then, she quickly and carefully searched the entire restaurant, searching for clues. Just as she was halfway through her search, she heard a commotion and flashed out of the restaurant. She didn't know where she was hiding, not even the camera brother could be found. The audience in the live broadcast room was confused. Where's the person? Such a big living person, why did they disappear all of a sudden? Camera brother, hurry up and find them. I also want to see what Lu Manyin will do next. Today I'm squatting in this live broadcast room, I want to see how Lu Manyin plays with the director. Lu Manyin, you bitch, get out of the entertainment industry. A large area of screen scrolling made the audience who really wanted to watch the variety show angry. Zhang Rourou's fans and Water Army, get out of here, don't hinder us from watching the variety show. This part of the audience is extremely rare, and in just 1 second, their barrage is brushed down. But angry netizens have reported many insults and Water Army accounts, but Zhang Rourou's fans are increasing. This has led to some netizens developing a sense of resistance towards Zhang Rourou. Zhang Rourou's fan base is too low, and she even gathered to cause trouble online, which is simply terrifying. And Lu Manyin crawled out from a relatively hidden corner. She looked around cautiously and confirmed that several big men had already left. She searched the restaurant again. Camera brother. Dot. Miss Lu, where did you come from? Lu Manyin doesn't care what the camera brother thinks. She found several clues from the corners, but, there. Several big men ran back and forth quickly towards Lu Manyin. Lu Manyin quickly drove away and quickly left several big men behind. She ran while looking at the clues. Ghost symbols. She looked at several useful clues and couldn't understand them at all. Is this a map? But why is this map so strange? She tried to piece it together. After piecing it together for a while, she realized that it was indeed a map, probably a detailed or project map. She put all the clues away and continued running towards the warehouse, but when she turned the corner, she almost ran into a cute-looking girl. Oh my! Chui Luo stumbled back, watching as he was about to fall to the ground. Lu Manyin grabbed her wrist and ran with her, saying, "Are you okay?" Chui Luo glanced back and saw several big men chasing after him, pulling Lu Manyin faster and saying, "I'm fine. Oh, I just managed to run away after a while. You don't know, if I hadn't shrunk too quickly at the beginning, I would have been punished like others." Her proud appearance made Lu Manyin laugh. She remembered this girl's name was Chui Luo, a beauty internet celebrity with 500,000 fans. Chui Luo's fans laughed uncontrollably. Luo still looks like this, I just love to see her true appearance. Moreover, Luo is really good, and I use the beauty she does well. Being with Luo and Lu Manyin will have a significant impact on her, right? Sigh, Luo's personality is so good, I'm really worried about her. Chui Luo will help Lu Manyin, and she is not a good person either. She is a seller of counterfeit goods. Let's resist her together. Numerous insults against Chui Luo appeared on the barrage, claiming that she was selling counterfeit goods to boycott her, causing a chaotic scene and angering Chui Luo's fans. Suddenly, Chui Luo's fans started to curse at Zhang Rourou's fans and Shui Jun. You reported me, I reported you, and the director received a warning call from the relevant department, warning him that if he didn't guide netizens well, he would be banned from the variety show. The director, who was busy watching the guests embarrassedly, only then realized what had happened on the barrage. He grabbed several strands of his own hair in sorrow, which made him almost cry. He already had less hair, now he's even less. First, pause the live broadcast and gather all the guests. He sighed with a worried expression, wondering how to save his few hair. The variety show suddenly stopped, and guests such as Lu Manyin had some speculations. Some people worry, some don't care, and some don't care. Lu Manyin is the kind of person who doesn't worry but cares. At least this variety show was her investment and the first one she participated in this world. She doesn't want variety shows to disappear like this. Manyin, hurry up, Chui Luo waved her hand with vitality. Lu Manyin just said, good, when her phone rang. She was an unexpected and expected person. She gestured for Chui Luo to leave first, then walked aside and answered the phone, hello. It's really strange. How could her fiancé call her now? Listening to your voice, it seems that I'm not happy when I call you. The man's deep and slightly cold voice was transmitted through the microphone to Lu Manyin's ear. No, I'm just curious. According to your workaholic nature, shouldn't you handle work matters first when you get off the plane? Why did you call me when you have time? He pulled off his tie and leaned against the back of the chair. On the desk in front of him was a freshly turned-off tablet, saying, you don't seem to remember us as unmarried couples anymore. His fiancée-A's personality has undergone a big change. She used to be so foolish and easily deceived, but now she has undergone a big change. Lu Manyin pressed her jumping eyebrows, wanting to say that the person who is engaged to you is her original self, not someone from the end of the world. But she has already taken over the body of her original body, so she must accept the marriage of her original body. I haven't forgotten. So, what do you mean by calling me? Sijuan tapped the armrest of the chair twice and said, "Let's have dinner together tonight and discuss our marriage." Although Lu Manyin had already learned about this from Uncle Wan, she was still shocked when she heard Ce say it in person. "Are you sure?" Ce confirmed and mentioned the time and location for dinner tonight, asking Lu Manyin to arrive on time. "If you want me to pick you up, I will go pick you up." Lu Manyin politely declined. "At 7 p.m., I will arrive on time." She needs to talk to Ce about marriage. If it's possible to terminate the engagement, it's best. If it's not possible to do so temporarily, then postpone the wedding date. After finally reviving her life, she didn't want to marry herself for no apparent reason. Besides, she has money, beauty, and family background, so she doesn't have to have a man. Ce nodded and said, "By the way, there's something I need to tell you in advance. I just called your parents and brother, and they also hope that we can get married as soon as possible." Lu Manyin was stunned and her beautiful eyes widened. "You? From Ce, you are shameless enough. Is this man sick? Don't let so many gentle and understanding women go, do we have to marry her, and interests are so important." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Someone hangs her up online. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Someone hangs her up online. Ce's thin lips curved slightly and said, "You have a much more interesting temperament. At least, it's more interesting than before, which makes him feel that choosing to get married is a good choice." Lu Manyin chuckled twice and said, "Thank you very much for your praise. Do you have anything else to do? If it's okay, I'll go get busy." "Do you need me to help you solve these things?" Ce asked. Lu Manyin didn't believe that this person would be so kind, mostly because she wanted to gain greater benefits from her family through this method. "No need, I can solve these things." "Alright, see you tonight." She hung up the phone and was about to go to the director when her phone rang. This time it's a strange number. She squinted her eyes and thought for a moment, then answered the phone while recording. "Hello, who is there?" "Manyin, it's me." Zhang Rourou's pitiful voice came in. "Manyin, can we have a good talk?" She didn't dare to tell the company about Lu Manyin's true identity and family background. If she said so, the company would definitely hide her in order to please Lu Manyin. She finally climbed to her current position and said she couldn't lose anything. Lu Manyin didn't need to guess, she could tell what Zhang Rourou was thinking. "Zhang Rourou, you said you did so many malicious things to me. Will my family spare you?" Zhang Rourou's face changed drastically, and her breathing became heavier. "Man, listen to my explanation, it's not what you think." "I don't want to hear your explanation," Lu Manyin interrupted impatiently. "Since you and Hongmei Entertainment Company refused to comply with my request, I have to take legal action." After the conversation ended, she hung up the phone directly, blocked the number, and went to the director's place. The director saw her coming over and asked with a smile. Miss Lu finished answering the phone. Lu Manyin ignored the different gazes of several guests and nodded at the director. "Sorry for keeping you waiting." "Director, what exactly happened?" The director elaborated on the insults and arguments between fans of Chui Luoluo, Zhang Rourou, and Shui Jun on the barrage, with a particular emphasis on the relevant departments making phone warnings. "We finally made a variety show." Before he could finish speaking, a male guest raised his hand and said, "Director, I won't shoot this variety show anymore. I need to hurry up and read more scripts. I'm about to join the group." As he spoke, he lifted his head slightly and waved his hand before leaving with his assistant. There are two guests hesitating. They are different from this person. At least this person has a drama to shoot, and they only have this variety show. Lu Manyin stood there indifferently, glancing at the director. The director nodded lightly and said, "Is there anything else you need to leave? If you need to leave, hurry up and leave. I don't lack people for this variety show." The director said, "So, how dare the two indecisive people leave? If these small characters offend the director, they won't be able to survive in the circle in the future. The director waited for a while, but when no one left, he continued, the question now is how to prevent the barrage from happening again. Chui Luoluo's fans are easy to manage, just say a word from the main leader. The trouble is with Zhang Rourou's fans and the Navy. Everyone in the circle knows that Zhang Rourou's fans have strong combat power. Chui Luoluo quickly apologized, I'm sorry, director. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Later, I will make a statement to restrain my fans. The director waved his hand and said, it's not your fault. It was Zhang Rourou's fans and the Navy who deliberately caused trouble. Do you have a way to solve this problem? Chui Luoluo and several guests looked at each other, This matter may not be easy to solve. This kind of matter, even if reported to the police, cannot be handled well, and there is a certain gap in the law. Call the police. Lu Manyin's eyes showed a cold light. This involves defamation, the personal safety of our guests, and so on. If the situation is so big, it is possible to call the police. As for the evidence, I'll find it. This time, she wants Zhang Rourou to suffer the consequences on her own. The director slapped his thigh and called the police. Lu Manyin sent a message and handed over the professional matters to the professionals. Director, I will temporarily suspend the broadcast of the variety show until the matter is resolved before it starts. There will still be a certain level of popularity then. The director thought this way and slapped him a few times. When the police come to take notes, you can go back and rest. I will make a new change to the program. Miss Lu, do you need to take the food prepared by the production team with you? Lu Manyin divided the food and took a braised chicken claw to nibble on. Director, wasting is a shameful behavior, you know. The director's face was speechless. When he was about to say something, he heard the assistant director's exclamation. Director, someone hung up on Miss Lu, saying she threatened Zhang Rourou, and there was a recording. The director's eyelids twitched, and her intuition was that Zhang Rourou was seeking death. Miss Lu, have you been tricked by Zhang Rourou? Let me take a look. Lu Manyin took out her phone and read the deputy director's disclosure. #shocking. Lu Manyin threatens Zhang Rourou. The content of the leak is that Lu Manyin threatened Zhang Rourou not to report to the police in order to seize her jade bracelets and good things, and demanded that she find various good resources for her, otherwise she would have to look good. There is a recording attached to this disclosure, and the content of the recording is what the disclosure said. The comments were all about cursing Lu Manyin and sympathizing with Zhang Rourou. I'll wipe it. Lu Manyin, this slut, dares to threaten my Rourou like this. I have to kill her. I have seen what it means to be shameless and invincible. Lu Manyin, such a useless thing, has harmed Zhang Rourou so many times. Now, how dare you openly threaten her? Can't Wang Fa control her? Lu Manyin calmly looked at these comments, pondering how to strike Zhang Rourou hard, but to her surprise, she heard Chui Luoluo's words. Ha! The sound in this recording doesn't sound like it's from man. Can this recording be synthetic? Upon hearing this, the director increased the volume of his phone and listened carefully 3 times. It doesn't sound like Miss Lu's voice. Moreover, with Miss Lu's character, it's impossible to do such a thing. That is to say. The meaning of his unfinished words was understood by everyone present, but the vast majority remained silent. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Zhang Rourou's Overzealous Fans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Zhang Rourou's Overzealous Fans, that's too much. Chui Luoluo stomped her foot angrily. This is clearly Zhang Rourou's plan. If it weren't for her intentional actions, how could this so-called recording have been obtained by anyone, and how could it have appeared online? Fortunately, she had a slight liking for Zhang Rourou before, but this woman was so cunning and vicious. Except for the director, no one agreed with her. That's what I said, but we have no evidence. Zhang Rourou's fans are very scary, and we can't do anything at the moment. Moreover, if this matter is not handled properly, it will have a huge impact on Miss Lu. Cui Luoluo had a sudden idea and said, let's find someone to verify this recording. As long as we can verify that it is fake, the next steps will be much easier. The director shook his head and said, you don't know that Zhang Rourou's fans are scary, even more crazy than crazy. Even if we provide evidence, fans will try their best to turn black into white in order to protect Zhang Rourou. This kind of thing has happened several times before. Look at those Zhang Rourou's enemies, have several of them all had problems. This time, we need to find a proper solution. After listening for a while, Lu Manyin calmly said, gathering people to cause trouble or illegally gathering is a serious crime. Not to mention, it also involves stirring up disputes and harming others, which is not tolerated by the law. She tilted her head and smiled, we must learn to pick up the weapon of the law to protect ourselves. Here, she is a law-abiding and good citizen, not an apocalyptic queen who casually executed people in her past life. Cui Luoluo and the director were stunned for a moment and said, can this move work? Lu Manyin's eyes gleamed coldly, and she was too busy to say, why not? I have as much evidence as I need. But for now, it's not urgent. I like the kind of person who falls heavily from a high place and ends up in pieces. Upon hearing the words, shattered to pieces, the people present shuddered uncontrollably, and a thought suddenly came to their minds. Lu Manyin is so terrifying. Lu Manyin didn't care what these people thought. She looked at the reposts and comments of this disclosure, and smiled and said, if you repost 500, you can get punished. Congratulations to those who have reposted 500, please bring a silver bracelet. Later, she will buy books on various laws and remember each one clearly, so as not to accidentally break the law and affect her comfortable life. The director and Cui Luoluo's eyes gradually lit up as they heard the words. This is good, this is good. Let's make a fuss like this, let's see who dares to easily spread these false rumors. Miss Lu, should we post a statement on Weibo now? The director asked. Lu Manyin waved her hand and said, let the rumors ferment first. The bigger the situation gets, the heavier the sentence will be. Also, do you think Zhang Rourou doesn't know about these things? Her fans are charging forward and causing a criminal case. Oh, it's so exciting to think about it. Zhang Rourou is a woman who is best at using her fans to achieve her goals. Her fans have many loyal and iron fans, and her combat power is also strong. She has helped her do a lot of things, and for this reason, she has not little to show off to her original body. Now, it's time for Zhang Rourou to suffer the consequences on her own. The director and Cui Luoluo fell silent. Following Miss Lu's train of thought, it was truly a thrilling criminal case. Even if this series of things has nothing to do with Zhang Rourou, just making such a big fuss is enough for her to drink a pot, at least not many people in the circle dare to use her. So, after the police arrived, Lu Manyin and others elaborated on the online leaks in detail. Lu Manyin also emphasized those who forwarded more than 500 messages and maliciously threatened to kill her. The police saw the online revelations and comments, which attracted attention, and asked Lu Manyin and others to return to the police station to make detailed records. In the past, there have been incidents where fans have made harmful decisions for the main character, and this time there has been such a big uproar, which must be taken seriously. Lu Manyin and others followed the police back to the police station to take notes. After completing the transcripts, Lu Manyin spoke to the director and others, then left the police station and prepared to go home to rest. Who knows, as soon as she walked out of the police station, she heard a roar. Lu Manyin, you despicable person, dare to be so gentle with me. Die for me. A chubby young man with a fierce face rushed towards Lu Manyin with a short knife. That look clearly meant killing Lu Manyin. The passers-by were all stunned by this scene and never regained their senses. As the short knife was about to stab Lu Manyin, a timid person covered their eyes and screamed. Ah! Killed! Someone caught the killer. It's so scary. Lu Manyin glanced indifferently at the man, slightly dodged on one side, and then kicked him out. It involves murder, so this matter is big. She shouted into the police station, "Police uncle, someone wants to kill me. I'm a fan of Zhang Rourou." The two police officers who had just run out, upon hearing this, looked at Lu Manyin standing intact with eerie eyes, and quickly approached to grab the man lying in pain on the ground, howling. "You dare to kill someone at the entrance of the police station, I have to say you have a lot of courage," said a police officer angrily. The man struggled and angrily scolded Lu Manyin, "Bitch, you damn bitch. You have caused Rourou to suffer injustice, and you dare to steal her things. I won't let you go. Congratulations, premeditated murder is a serious crime, at least life imprisonment. However, I am not satisfied with life imprisonment and will hire the best lawyer to sentence you to death," Lu Manyin said lightly. She made a pistol pose and aimed at the man, with a bang. "Your life is over, or did you end up as a death row criminal? Your parents, relatives, and friends will be ashamed of you. Ah, you're not married yet, are you? She didn't even give it to future generations, it's really pitiful." She shook her head. These words were like a basin of cold water, fiercely pouring on the man, shivering with cold. His angry brain gradually calmed down and said, "No, no, no. I'm not premeditated to kill, I'm not premeditated to kill, I'm mentally ill, I'm mentally ill." Two police officers forcibly dragged him towards the police station and said, "Do you have any mental illness? We will ask relevant institutions for identification." The onlookers all cursed at him. Garbage. Zhang Rourou is garbage, and her fans are also garbage. Whatever kind of protagonist there is, there are fans. Fans dare to plan murder, and what kind of good thing is the protagonist? Before, I even helped Zhang Rourou scold Lu Manyin. I apologize to Lu Manyin here. I don't believe that Zhang Rourou and her studio wouldn't be aware of what her fans are causing, but Zhang Rourou and her studio have nothing to do with it. This shows what kind of person Zhang Rourou is, too vicious. Someone posted this video online, causing a great sensation. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Consequences. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Consequences. I wipe it. It's too scary. It's really scary. The premeditated murder was still at the entrance of the police station. If it weren't for Lu Manyin hiding quickly, she would really have died. No matter how much hatred or resentment there is, she can even commit murder. Zhang Rourou's fans are too terrifying, and Zhang Rourou is also very terrifying. I really don't believe she has no knowledge at all. Zhang Rourou's fans will soon come to whitewash. Sister doesn't even know about this matter. It's a personal behavior of the fans, and it's not allowed to involve her. Besides, it was originally Lu Manyin's fault. If it weren't for her constantly scheming against her sister and stealing her bracelet, it wouldn't be strange for fans to do such a thing. That's right, it's all Lu Manyin's fault. If it weren't for her doing these malicious things, my sister's fans wouldn't have been too angry and done wrong. You guys who curse my sister will die for the whole family. The more Zhang Rourou's fans whitewash her, the more they scold netizens, and the worse her social connections become. Netizens also have a poorer perception of her, and she even loses fans seriously. Originally, over 30 million fans lost nearly 200,000 due to these two incidents, and they are still continuously losing. This made Zhang Rourou, who wanted to pretend to be quiet and let her fans continue to charge forward, have to publish a seemingly apologetic essay on Weibo that actually slandered Lu Manyin. It's okay if she doesn't post this essay, but once she posts this essay, her fans fall faster and her social connections with passers-by become worse. Come on, let me translate Zhang Rourou's essay for you. I don't know the personal behavior of fans. I usually restrain fans, but this time it was a private behavior of fans, and it was also for me to do such a thing. In fact, it's because Lu Manyin snatched my jade bracelet before that this happened. I apologize to everyone here, and this matter has been exposed like this. I wipe it. You are indeed a big garbage lord. She exposed such a big matter of premeditated murder with just a few light words, and even pushed the matter onto Lu Manyin. It's really terrifying. Is there any relevant department in charge of managing Zhang Rourou and her fans? If this continues, I don't know how many things will happen. Internal news, latest internal news. Not only has all of Zhang Rourou's business contracts been terminated, but she will also receive huge compensation. In addition, all of her fashion resources have been lost, and many directors have expressed that they will not use her anymore. Her presence will also be absent from the main dramas. Cheer. That's it. Zhang Rourou's fans are plotting murder, and she wants to cover up such a big matter with just a few words. How can we do that? Zhang Rourou, who had just learned that she had lost all her business and fashion resources, as well as so many fans, suddenly turned black in front of her. After working hard for so many years, she finally gained her current status and resources, but almost returned to before liberation. Why did it become like this? When she saw Lu Manyin standing under the shade of a tree, shining and noble, the accumulated jealousy and unwillingness surged out like a tide. Why is it that Lu Manyin was born with a golden spoon in her mouth, and she has everything she wants, while she can only work hard? She's not willing to accept it. Man, she walked over apologetically. I'm sorry man, I didn't know my fans had done such a thing. I hope you can forgive me. Lu Manyin knew that Zhang Rourou had lost a lot of resources and looked at her with a smile on her lips. Zhang Rourou, at this point, are you still playing with me? Then you keep playing, and then there's the recording and the jade bracelet. She raised her phone and said, I'll punish you for multiple crimes. How many years do you think you'll go to jail? When the time comes, everything you have now will be lost. Zhang Rourou shuddered hard as she listened, and her face turned slightly pale. Manyin, listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. Lu Manyin raised her hand to interrupt her words, her eyes shining like sharp blades. Do you think why do your various resources fall so quickly? Especially those top-notch fashion resources that I helped you win, why do they fall so quickly? With a loud bang in Zhang Rourou's mind, it was the Lu family who took action. As long as the Lu family says a word, not to mention losing all her resources, she will still be banned. She regretted it, really regretted it. If she had known this earlier, she would have acted quickly and sold Lu Manyin to a place overseas, so that she could completely trample on this slut. Man, we are good sisters. She cried pitifully. It seemed that she was humiliated. Would you please help me? Lu Manyin's pretty face cooled down and she said, You've been calculating with me for so long, and now you're still using your fans to harm me. Do you think I'll still be foolish enough to help you? Zhang Rourou, I will slowly calculate the past accounts with you. This is just the beginning, and I hope you can bear it from now on. Zhang Rourou's legs softened and she cried even more sadly. It shouldn't be like this, it shouldn't be like this. According to her plan, after Lu Manyin is sold, she will be able to have a smoother life and receive assistance from the Lu family. However, it has become what it is now. Man. Lu Manyin smiled slightly and said, By the way, I almost got sold. I have to figure it out with you. As soon as these words were spoken, she caught the tension and unease in Zhang Rourou's eyes, and confirmed that it was Zhang Rourou who almost sold her original body. This woman is really extremely vicious. What strange things are you saying, man? Zhang Rourou adjusted her mindset in a second and said with concern, Man, are you feeling unwell somewhere? She did this so discreetly without leaving any clues, and Lu Manyin couldn't possibly know it was him who did it. Lu Manyin sneered, You should think about whether you can continue to work in the circle. After speaking, she turned around and left. Zhang Rourou almost collapsed on the ground. No, she needs to find a way to push everything onto Lu Manyin like before. She must not lose everything she has. In the evening, before 7 o'clock, there is a high-end Western restaurant. When Lu Manyin walked into the Western restaurant, she didn't see any other guests besides the waiter, and speculated that it was CE who had taken care of this place. Under the guidance of the waiter, she arrived at the window seat and saw the man sitting here. The bright French window on the side has a warm light refracting in and falling on his jade-like face, like a layer of thin light, dazzling and handsome, making it difficult to move your eyes. It has to be said that this man is really handsome, especially with his noble demeanor. "I'm not late," she sat in the chair and took the menu handed over by CE. C nodded to indicate that she was not late. He crossed his hands and leaned against the back of his chair, saying, "In the afternoon, you gave me a gothic call." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. I truly want to marry you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. I truly want to marry you. Lu Manyin's eyelids twitched a few times and she had a bad premonition. My brother called you, shouldn't it be because of the leak? If it was because of the leak, why didn't my brother call me instead of you? Is the family treating CE too well? My family wouldn't be unaware that CE came for profit. CE felt a certain resistance from Lu Manyin towards him, not because she didn't like him, but because of other aspects of resistance. You forgot, your family called you, how much do you dislike it? Lu Manyin suddenly remembered this matter and exclaimed, "Ah, there is such a thing." Being brainwashed by Zhang Rourou, she was determined that her family wanted to take her back and call her, which was a kind and unsettling behavior. Every time she was on the phone, she had a heated argument with her family. "Sorry," she apologized, "I forgot about this. What did my brother want to convey through you? Wait a moment, give your family a call. It's time to clear up the misunderstanding." CE noticed that her personality has changed a lot. She no longer has the previous coquettishness, stubbornness, and unwillingness to listen. Now, she appears gentle and easy to talk, but in fact, her sharp eyes are not to be underestimated. Firstly, there is an exposed matter. Your brother hopes that I can advise you to go home and not stay in the entertainment industry anymore. Secondly, your brother wants me to take care of you more. Upon hearing this, Lu Manyin took out her phone and sent a WeChat message to her brother. "Brother, let's talk face-to-face if there's anything we need. Don't let CE be the microphone. Your brother said he hoped we could get married soon," CE said, almost causing Lu Manyin to crush her phone. Mr. C, I'm asking you seriously now. Do you really want to marry me?" C sat up straight and looked at her sincerely. "I'll say it again, I really want to marry you." Lu Manyin frowned and said, "Is that how you want to marry me? We are unmarried couples, shouldn't we get married?" C asked in reverse, "Just because you're an unmarried couple, you're getting married," said Lu Manyin, looking at him with a slightly different expression. C guessed that she might have misunderstood something and rested her hands on her chin, saying, "I think you're a bit confused. I need a wife, a suitable wife. Coincidentally, you and I are unmarried, so it's only natural for me to marry you." Lu Manyin tugged at the corner of her mouth and said, "This sounds very fake. However, with your temperament, it's really not surprising to say such things. But I don't want to get married." CE raised her eyebrows and said, "Do you not want to marry me, or simply do you not want to get married?" Lu Manyin picked up her red wine glass and took a sip with a faint expression, saying, "It's all there. I'm still young, and I don't want it to be worse than the tomb of marriage so early. If we enter marriage, there will be many more constraints and responsibilities, such as taking on what the wife should do." Upon hearing this, C's black eyes were tinged with a faint smile. "I didn't expect your words." After a pause, he said again, "Your temperament now is much more interesting than before." A question mark slowly popped up on Lu Manyin's head. What's going on? Is this person having a brain pit? Are you the one who wants to marry me because you think I'm interesting? Ce nodded and said, there is a reason for this. More importantly, I need a wife. At this moment, delicious food came up and he gestured for Lu Manyin to eat first. Lu Manyin was very interested in the food of this era, and she stared at it. This time, the chef cooked French dishes, mainly steak, lamb chops, and a few small dishes. The portions were small but very exquisite, like a piece of art, which made people unwilling to destroy this beauty. She looked at it for a while and said, "Ce, please don't tell me, it's just a small amount. It's not enough to stuff my teeth." She is very edible. Upon hearing this, Ce chuckled lightly and said, "This is the first time I've heard a girl say she's not enough to eat." He became even more interested and said, "The girls I've seen, even if they can eat, will pretend they can't eat in front of others and still eat very elegantly." As he spoke, he cut Lu Manyin's steak and lamb chops into quick, beautiful and neat pieces. Lu Manyin rolled her eyes and thanked her. She ate the steak a bit quickly and said, "How tiring it is to do this. In life, there is only eating, drinking, and playing. If you can't even eat happily, what's the point?" She eats quickly, but not rudely, and has a pleasing taste. Ce cut his own portion and used it elegantly and with dignity, saying, "You make a lot of sense, which makes me look at you in a new light." At this point, his tone changed. "So, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to collect the certificate." Upon hearing this, Lu Manyin almost choked on the food in her mouth. She looked at Ce with disbelief and said, "Are you okay? Are you in such a hurry to get married? Is this still the indifference towards her in my memory? Shouldn't it be? This person has also been pierced by a soul, right?" Ce raised his hand and beckoned the waiter, ordering a lot of dishes and demanding a sufficient portion before saying to Lu Manyin, "There is no difference between getting married early and getting married late. We will eventually get married." His twisted reasoning made Lu Manyin frown slightly and say, "I'm considering getting married." Ce didn't continue the topic and instead talked about returning to the Lu family. "You see which day is suitable, I'll accompany you back to the Lu family. You should go back and take a look." Lu Manyin glanced at the vibrating phone and took a big bite of the steak, saying, "I have an idea. It's time to go home and take a look." After the two had finished their meal, Ce escorted Lu Manyin back and they walked side by side towards the parking lot, chatting occasionally. As she walked, Lu Manyin suddenly stopped and looked to the right. Is it her illusion? Just now she noticed that someone was staring at her, it was a malicious kind. What's wrong? Ce followed her gaze and did not see any abnormal situation. Lu Manyin squinted her eyes and walked quickly over. Ce followed up and gestured for the bodyguard to follow. 5 bodyguards followed up to protect Ce and Lu Manyin while paying attention to the surrounding situation. Lu Manyin has arrived at the place. This is a flower bed, and as it is late at night, the view here is obstructed, making it difficult for Tibetans to be detected. She searched around and didn't find anyone, but she wouldn't doubt her feelings. In the apocalypse, her sense of crisis and sixth sense saved her many times. Most likely, the person who was originally hiding here quietly left. Who could it be? What is the purpose of hiding here again? Is there someone here just now? Ce's eyebrows and eyes were tinged with a chill, and he gestured for the 2 bodyguards to investigate. Lu Manyin was surprised by how much he believed in her and said, "You wouldn't think it was me who was just fooling around." "You won't be fooling around," said Ce. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. You should go home and inherit the family business. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. You should go home and inherit the family business. Lu Manyin was stunned for a moment and couldn't understand the man anymore. You. She suddenly didn't know what to say. "Let's go, it's not safe here." Ce hugged her shoulder and walked towards the parking lot. Lu Manyin hummed and didn't say anything more. Do you need me to arrange an assistant for you? C asked. Lu Manyin remembered that she did indeed lack an assistant. Although she could handle all aspects well, it would still be better to have an assistant. This way, some simple things that she couldn't handle in time could be handed over to her assistant. I'll just find an assistant myself, I won't trouble you anymore. C said in a low voice, you and I are about to become husband and wife. Seeing you so openly makes me feel like my fiancé is useless. Lu Manyin felt like this person was acting. If there's something that even my family can't solve, maybe I'll ask for your help. Speaking of this, CE will no longer continue the topic. Hongmei Entertainment Company and Zhang Rourou need to handle it as soon as possible. Lu Manyin has already figured out how to handle this matter. It will be resolved in the next few days. At this moment, her phone vibrated. It's a pop-up Weibo. The content made her chuckle coldly. It turned out that the person who had just been staring at her was entertainment gossip. #shocking. Turns out this is one of Lu Manyin's big spenders. The content of the leak is that she ate at a high-end Western restaurant with a handsome and wealthy tycoon, and even took intimate walks after the meal, such as Zhang Rourou and Hongmei Entertainment Company being unlucky. Accompanied by a few photos of CE that cannot be seen, it is said to have a nose and eyes. The following comments say everything. Ah! I knew it would be like this. Lu Manyin, this slut, is colluding with the gold owner to harm us Rourou. Why is that fan so useless that they couldn't kill Lu Manyin, this slut? Damn it. Zhang Rourou's fans are so terrifying. They talk about murder like drinking water. If Lu Manyin can hook up with the gold medalist, she has the ability. Zhang Rourou's fans are so sour. Didn't you notice that the Gold Lord is very handsome? He can be so handsome even in a few photos that I can't see clearly, which shows how handsome he is. With his charm, I started to envy Lu Manyin. Being so handsome and having so much gold is simply a dream lover. Yeah, now I want to soul-pierce Lu Manyin and spend tonight with this handsome guy. 1 minute, I need all the information about this handsome guy. The comments have gradually shifted, mostly discussing CE, as well as those who want to uncover his identity in high-definition photos. Those who scolded Lu Manyin or caused trouble among Zhang Rourou's fans were all covered up by these comments. Upon seeing these comments, Lu Manyin raised her phone and said to CE, Mr. C, you're famous. Now, the whole internet is cracking down on your identity and high-definition photos. C didn't pay much attention and said, they can't dig it out. You shouldn't be able to see this disclosure. Lu Manyin will brush up on this disclosure again. Sure enough. I can't find this disclosure anymore. Mr. C's public relations team is really quick to take action. The two have arrived at the parking lot. C opened the car door in the back seat and escorted Manyin in, saying, it's because you don't want to deal with it, otherwise these things would be very simple. Lu Manyin also knew this. Don't you think it's fun to play like this? Those people think I'm relying on a wealthy person to rise to power, and both of them want to step on me. What kind of exciting expression will they have when they know my true identity? After a moment of imagination, C nodded and said, it's very interesting, as long as you're happy. Of course, Lu Manyin is very happy. Compared to her previous life where she killed enemies all at once, in this life she prefers the game of cat and mouse, slowly teasing enemies. She is looking forward to seeing the desperate and painful expressions of these enemies. C escorted Lu Manyin downstairs and stood next to the car, saying, I'll leave when the lights in your living room light up. The community where Lu Manyin lives is a high-end wealthy community with well-equipped security facilities and various aspects, so there is no need to worry about paparazzi or anyone's fans coming in and causing trouble. Lu Manyin said, good, and waved her hand before entering the standalone small Western-style building. She had just entered the living room when she found someone sitting there. A man. Who? Her eyes cooled down and she turned on the living room light with a snap. In an instant, the living room lit up, making it clear who the man sitting on the sofa was. I don't even know my own brother anymore. Lu Qingyun glanced at his sister diagonally, without giving a good expression. The handsome and elegant young master spoke in a gentle and gentle tone, like a gentle breeze brushing his ear, making the listener very comfortable. Lu Manyin softened her expression and sat on the sofa. You can see it's a person in the pitch black. Who knows it's you? You're good, you're pretending to be a ghost here to scare your sister. Lu Qingyun looked at her in surprise and said, you have a good temperament. Better than before. I saw that you had a falling out with Zhang Rourou. Do you know her true face? From the very beginning, the family could tell what kind of person Zhang Rourou was, but Manyin just ate Zhang Rourou's tricks and helped the woman everywhere because of Zhang Rourou's falling out with the family. Lu Manyin picked up the fruit from the fruit tray and ate it. You've seen it clearly. Don't worry, brother. I have an idea how to deal with her. You watch, there will be a good show tomorrow. By the way, did Dad ask you to come over, or did Mom ask you to come over? Lu Qingyun saw that her attitude had improved a lot and she no longer breathed a sigh of relief like before. Since you have seen Zhang Rourou's true face clearly, when are you planning to leave the circle and go home? There is enough industry at home for you to inherit, but you have to go to the entertainment industry. What's good about it? Look at the grievances you've suffered. My brother feels heartbroken. The family doted on Manyin like pearls and treasures, not to be slandered by those people. Lu Manyin felt warm in her heart as she heard that she had never felt family affection in her past life. She grew up as an orphan and doesn't know who her parents are, which is too normal in the apocalypse. She struggled and struggled all the way, gradually becoming the queen of the apocalypse. There were all kinds of people around her, but she never felt true family affection. In the apocalypse, no one cares much about family relationships, they all think about how to survive and how to live longer. When I play in the circle again, this time, I won't be like before. Lu Qingyun didn't want to argue with her, so he pressed his brow and said, so, 6 months later. No matter if you make a name for yourself in the entertainment industry after 6 months, you will obediently go home and inherit the family business, okay? After thinking for a moment, Lu Manyin agreed and said, I'll go home in a few days. Or maybe I'll move back home. It's quite lonely living here alone. Lu Qingyun was eager for his sister to move back and said, so, I'll arrange for someone to come and move for you tomorrow. After you finish your work, you can go home directly, and our family can get together well. As soon as Lu Manyin said, good, she heard the doorbell ringing. She thought she was the butler, but when she opened the door, she saw an unexpected person. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Coming to find her to invest in variety. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Coming to find her to invest in variety. Lu Manyin looked up and down at Zhang Rourou standing at the gate with a smile on her face and said, oh, what are you doing here? Just by looking at Zhang Rourou's carefully dressed appearance, you know she's here to find her brother. This woman, however, treats her brother as her man, approaching him both openly and secretly, and even urging her to help match him up. Zhang Rourou leaned in and said gently, Manyin, I'm here to apologize. I feel very sorry for what happened to you due to my own reasons. As soon as she heard that Mr. Lu had arrived, she immediately dressed up and came over. Originally, she wanted to marry Mr. C. But she was worried about robbing Mr. C, and the Lu family would not give up easily, so she shifted her focus to Mr. Lu. When she marries Mr. Lu and then snatches Mr. C, the Lu family won't say anything. Lu Manyin was clear about her thoughts and calculations, and she shouted to the living room, brother, come out. This kind of thing needs to be dealt with face to face to be interesting. Lu Qingyun walked out and looked at Zhang Rourou in disgust. He smiled and said to Lu Manyin, what's calling me? Lu Manyin pointed at Zhang Rourou and asked Lu Qingyun with a smile, brother, what do you think of Zhang Rourou? In her spare time, she noticed Zhang Rourou's nervous and shy expression, almost spitting out her dinner in disgust. Lu Qingyun lowered his face and said with disgust, hypocrisy, affectation, and disgust. Her actions of harming you and using you are clear to our family. If she dares to use her fans to harm you this time, our family will let all her resources be destroyed. Let's see who dares to use her again in the future. Zhang Rourou felt like she had been struck by lightning, and her tearful eyes blurred as she said, Mr. Lu, it's not like this. I can't control the behavior of my fans, and I deeply apologize for it. I will take care of my fans in the future and not let such things happen again. It must be Lu Manyin, this slut, who spoke ill of her in front of Mr. Lu. Mr. Lu had been very kind to her before. Lu Qing looked at her with an ant-like gaze and said, do you think I don't know? Did you let your assistant in the fan group incite fans to deal with my sister? And did you want those old people to ruin my sister? One by one, my family is clear. I have concrete evidence there. Zhang Rourou's face turned pale, but she still didn't think she had done anything wrong. People die for money, and she did all this for herself. If it weren't for her poor background, where would Lu Manyin be so arrogant and proud in front of her? Mr. Lu, there was really a misunderstanding. Before she could finish speaking, Lu Qingyun raised his hand and interrupted her. Lu Qingyun sneered and said, your pretentious appearance should be shown to your gold lords slowly. Your gold lords love your appearance the most. Ah, does she have a gold owner? Lu Manyin pretended to be surprised. Brother, she didn't say it to the public, did she rely on her own hard work to achieve everything she has now? What do you mean, she doesn't have a gold owner to care for? Lu Qingyun chuckled twice and said, no gold lord. She has many gold lords, but now she still has a few gold lords. Every other day, she goes to the accommodation arranged by different gold lords for her, specifically to serve the gold lords. Otherwise, where do you think she got so many resources and scripts over the years? Her acting skills are not very good, and she has more demands, all supported by the financial backers behind her. Lu Manyin shook her head and said, Zhang Rourou, I really can't tell. There are several gold lords in your group. If your fans know you have several gold lords, will they bite you back? Zhang Rourou has a particularly large number of fans for her husband and boyfriend, accounting for 80% of her fans. These fans have strong fighting abilities and have always firmly believed that Zhang Rourou did not have a gold medalist, and that it was through her own efforts that she achieved what she is today. Zhang Rourou's face turned a little whiter as she clenched her hands and said, Mr. Lu Manyin, you really misunderstood. I don't have a gold lord. When she saw the photo on Lu Qingyun's phone, her pupils contracted violently and she instinctively wanted to grab the phone. Being dodged by Lu Qingyun, he sneered, I know all those gold lords of yours. They have many photos and videos of you in their hands, and as long as I say a word, they will send them to me. Zhang Rourou, please apologize and admit your mistake on Weibo before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and explain clearly what you have done to my sister over the years. In addition, you must return and borrow my sister's jewelry, money, and other things, which cannot be missing. He raised his phone and said, otherwise, these photos and videos would appear online. I don't think you would want to see them. At this moment, Lu Manyin's phone rang. She said to Lu Qingyun and then went back to the living room to answer the phone, Director, you call me tonight. Can the variety show continue filming tomorrow? The director was very embarrassed, and he coughed a few times. So what, Miss Lu, let me apologize to you first. That is, I didn't do a good job of confidentiality. A director friend of mine found out that you invested in my variety show and wanted you to invest in his variety show. If it weren't for his iron buddy, he would have driven away the person long ago, and wouldn't have had the audacity to call Miss Lu. Lu Manyin didn't care about this. What kind of variety show is it? The director knew there was a play as soon as he heard it, and quickly said, it's a slow variety show, which means doing a show in the countryside or a place with less convenient transportation. Usually, guests do tasks to earn money to buy various ingredients, and basically everything is done by themselves. By the way, this variety show is called Big Star Life. My friend's response to the first 2 episodes of this show was quite good, but now there are too many similar types of variety shows, and his variety show lacks innovation. The number of famous guests coming is decreasing, and the funds are running out. It's really difficult to be a variety show director. There are too many variety shows nowadays, and if the ratings are poor or not outstanding enough, they will all be cut off. Manyin is very interested in this variety show. It's a slow-paced variety show, which she couldn't even imagine in her past life. Okay, you can have the director talk to me in person. If it's suitable, I can invest. She said money is not a problem, the problem is to make her happy and comfortable. What's the investment? Lu Qingyun walked over with disinfectant alcohol and disinfected him and his sister from top to bottom in all directions. In the future, if you encounter Zhang Rourou, disinfect her once to avoid getting any bacteria, you know. Manyin couldn't help but laugh and cry, okay. There's a slow variety show for me to invest in, let me see if it's suitable. I really like slow living. Lu Qingyun doesn't care about that little money, the most important thing is for his sister to be happy and say, is the money still enough? It's not enough. Brother has it here. He gave a black card with a gold border to Manyin and said, take it and play. Manyin did not refuse, her heart filled with warmth. Is this family affection? That's great. End of this chapter.